Alrighty, well, welcome to this week's Ask Us Anything. I think it's been a bit of a slow news week, so I've really got nothing in the form of news.
No, nothing major's happened at all.
I don't really know what's going on, but I did come across a little document, something like this, that everyone seems to be a bit fussed about. And actually, yeah, there is a lot to be fussed over. Especially when you drill down a few pages. We'll do the little announcement first, which is the state government's going to invest $800,000 to install electric vehicle charging stations in government buildings to support the state government electric vehicle fleet target.
Yeah, we won't be able to use them though.
Oh no. So then the better announcement is investing up to $20 million to support the creation of an electric vehicle charging infrastructure network, facilitating travel from north from Perth to Kununurra, along the southwest coast to Esperance, and east to Kalgoorlie.
Amazing.
So
does that mean they're actually going to install the chargers themselves?
So support the creation.
Basically,
yeah, exactly. It's government speak for everybody else can do it, and we'll just let you.
No, the correct answer is there are a couple of government departments. So I'll get back to the share screen. So when you look on the right, that is basically Synergy, Horizon Power, and the Energy Policy WA. So it actually will be Synergy on the Swiss and Horizon beyond the Swiss, who will be installing or buying these chargers. So that's what's going to happen. Now, what they are going to do is put them out, open with that thing. They're going to do this. This is apparently from I think this is from their Facebook page. So clearly they're going to go to Kalgoorlie, Esperance. There's obviously a charger in Busselton or whatever. Maybe that's Busselton there. And I'm not quite sure what that town is there, but they're going to basically have this sort of the southwest covered.
So it is good that we've got a 50 kilowatt charger in Lake Grace, because they're not going to go that way.
Yes, too right. Yeah, exactly. Yes, in fact, that'll be quite useful, because there's obviously going to be a charger at Ravensthorpe, probably, which is about here, and then Lake Grace is sort of about there, I think. So that's pretty good. So if I get back to the document, now there's a few other points a bit further down. They're going to do development of national operability standards for charging infrastructure, such as common open payment platforms and motorist accessibility.
Yay.
So let's hope that is a PayWave type setup.
Yeah, amazing.
The cynic in me probably says that it'll be promised to be one, and I'll probably just settle for like an app such as ChargeFox or someone else. But it is in this document, so let's hope. And we can lobby that hopefully they'll make it universal. They're also reviewing land use planning guides and standards related to fuel and service stations to support establishment of electric vehicle infrastructure.
Now, Ampol, which has taken over Caltex over east, is installing ultra-fast chargers in their petrol stations.
Yes,
they've got 3 now, so that's good.
Yes, and that's part of the EV, I think, network between Sydney and Melbourne, I think. So hopefully this little statement might bear some fruit. It'll be lovely to think that what they say is if you want to get your new development up and running, you need to have fast DC charging. But, well, we can always hope. Then there is also, this is a bit of a side issue, that they're undertaking a comprehensive review to consult on the future regulation of electric vehicle charging stations, because currently they're exempt from requiring a license to sell and distribute electricity. This is a slight barrier that may come around, but what they may actually be looking at is trying to make that less of a barrier, because at the moment they're sort of exempted from that kind of requirement. Oh, now this one's a classic. They are going to, this is not looking into, but they will update the Road Traffic Vehicles Regulations 2014 Act to include a requirement for electric vehicle signage on vehicle license plates. So what that looks like, and a shout out for Pete Petrosky putting this out on Twitter, is that one of, these things will be your friend. And Pete rightly said, surely if it's on some plates like this, it would be a bit superfluous. So I just like tacked in the little EV thing there. So it looks like we're all going to get one of those. And I mean, I guess in one sense, who really cares?
Fairly annoying, isn't it?
It is pretty funny that petrol cars don't have a flammable liquids warning on them. But, oh, and I do note that the report does slightly mention a little bit of hydrogen stuff. They're going to invest $3 million in 2 hydrogen stations. I think one at one of the FMG sites, mines, for their buses.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, they've got a bus, haven't they?
Yep, and one at Jan de Cotte. So that'll be the 2 hydrogen. Actually, they're electrolyzing stations and filling stations. So they are going to use renewable energy to power those electrolyzers.
Okay.
So there we go. So the report is pretty comprehensive. Quite a few people have asked things like, what time frame are they looking at? But one thing I know is that Queensland Electric Highway was announced in July 2018. No, 17, sorry. And it was 17 out of the 18 stations were completed by January 2018. So in 6 months, they delivered 17/18 of the system. Obviously, our system is bigger. Sorry, go, Richard.
I was just going to ask, does it mention in there like what kilowatt power the charging stations will be?
No. However, the price that they've indicated, it's still in the ballpark to have many of the stations being 150 kilowatt. And obviously that's something as a club we will definitely advocate for strongly. The 350, not so much. I mean, to be in reality at the moment, the 350s can't appropriately charge any car that's around, except for Model 3s get the closest at about 200 kilowatts. The good thing is though, companies like Tritium are bringing out different versions of their products. And I believe their latest version is actually a modular setup that can have its power expanded. Brilliant. So they could start low and then build up. So the good thing is now is probably a good time to implement this, because there's a lot of options and the pricing has come down. So getting back to the Horizon Synergy thing, so Synergy will be doing all effectively the properly integrated system, and then Horizon's doing all the off-grid and small grid systems. There's really a huge opportunity for Tesla in this space, because there was also talk in the news that I think Tesla China, there was some talk about them opening up the supercharging network to other manufacturers. Now, if Tesla could do that in WA, what they could do is actually have superchargers as being most of the installs, particularly the remote areas, then implement their power pack system, and whether it's their solar panels or someone else's, whatever's the cheapest, they could then basically provide a lot of the battery systems at below cost, because in a sense, they're also benefiting by having a greater penetration of superchargers than they ordinarily would do anywhere else. But unfortunately, that's something for Tesla to sort of think about as far as whether they want to open up their superchargers to the other CCS users.
Is that going to be? Are they going to be contacted through our?
Oh yes, I've already. Yes,
okay.
Indeed, that's already started. It's just a matter of getting the right ears to hear the right message. But I think there's a really, and look, the thing is, it's not only Damon that watches our YouTube later on in half-hour segments. I know for a fact that Elon watches this every week, and big shout out to Elon. So, you know, you're hearing it first. You've got a great opportunity to have a massive penetration of superchargers in WA. But all jokes aside, look, even if that doesn't happen, what hopefully could happen is that if Tesla gets into the battery space, they could basically have, say, a tritium charger at a remote site and a supercharger and their battery pack. And again, you've got this cross subsidy of the battery pack serving, say, the tritium and the supercharger, and the solar also serving the roadhouse. So again, that might be an opportunity for Tesla to provide this technology at a discounted cost to the government, but also at an enhanced thing for them, because they can basically leverage off that funding. So fingers crossed. You know, we'll just have to see. But like, again, the timeline, one great thing too is this report, none of it is hedged on a election result. So this isn't an election promise. This is actually just a straight standard commitment by the state government. So there's really no reason why some of this can't start quite quickly. You know, fingers crossed. And I think one thing that's really important for us as a community is to get out there and talk to the pollies and say, hey, you've done a great job. Now we're really keen to get you guys to, you know, deliver this as quickly as possible, you know, to as many of the towns as possible.
Yeah, well, I've already tweeted my local member, because I spoke to him a few weeks ago about all of this, and I said, great, thanks very much. And then I was intending to follow it up next week going, where's the first one going in?
Yes. Yep. And that's exactly what we need to do, because we've waited for this for years, you know, and we're almost there. And, you know, imagine how awesome it will be to drive from, say, here to Carnarvon and charge for less than, say, an hour and a half on the way, rather than 7 hours, which is what several of us have done, you know. Now, speaking of which, in a lot less important news, but still something a little bit quirky, we have got Western Australia's most northerly fast DC charger, 50 kilowatt, the full rate, at a secret location in Geraldton. Hopefully this will work. So it's basically permanently connected at the moment. Well, yeah, hardwired to a 150 amp circuit breaker. So they will deliver the full 50 kilowatts. It's actually at the port of Geraldton. And
congratulations.
At a minimum, thanks. At a minimum, it'll be there at least for this weekend, but I'm actually thinking that we might be able to have it hosted there longer. And it may even end up being as long as perhaps the duration of the school holidays, which would be awesome, because it then opens up charging all the way to Kalbarri and beyond.
That's brilliant, Harold. Is that still going to be free, or is it going to be?
No, we're going to, what I'm going to do, because, well, put it this way, if something's for free, someone's paying for it. And I've basically undertaken that there'll be no charge to the people that are hosting it, because they were extremely generous in allowing it to be there in the first place.
Yep.
So it's not going to have a payment system on it, but we're going to have an honor system. So I'm going to put a pin on PlugShare. Haven't quite worked out how to do it yet, whether it's restricted pin or whether it's an open pin. But I'm going to get a combination lock to put on the handle. That's mainly for safety, so that someone doesn't take it off the holster and then smash it on the ground as they've done elsewhere. But we'll have like an honor system to count up the kilowatt hours delivered, and we'll probably put it at maybe 50 cents a kilowatt hour or something like that, something fairly low, but it just covers the cost of the electricity going through. I'm going to try and get a power meter put on it so that at least I know how much we've used, so we can, whatever goes through that machine, we'll make sure that we pay the people that are hosting it. But yeah, so basically that will be the most northerly, currently the most northerly fast DC charger in WA.
Yeah, well done.
Excellent. Great, Harold. Well done.
So
Great work.
yeah, so that's a great initiative by Tokwa. Oh, I see Pete and Andrew live from Kwinana Motorplex.
Guys, we can barely hear you guys because there's a lot of noise going on in the background.
Can't be
Some
any
people didn't get
electric vehicles then.
Yeah, they didn't get the memo that it's supposed to be an EV night.
So I presume that you guys are there to shame a few of those AMG drivers.
Yeah, there's a fair few of them hanging around, unfortunately.
Yes, indeed. So I guess we can tell when the Teslas are going because you won't hear anything.
Sorry?
I guess we'll be able to tell. We'll be able to tell when the Teslas are racing because you won't be able to hear a single thing.
Yeah, you can't hear them coming or going.
Except for the moans of all those ICE drivers that are being beaten and embarrassed.
It's almost impossible to hear. Maybe we can go in the car and put it through the speakers in the car. Hey guys, I might show you. I'm charging my car off John's Electrons Kona. I don't know if you can.
And he's getting beat with a guy who's got 84% charge. I still beat him.
Oh, those guys have seen that.
I know. Yeah, up to 93.
Oh, they lost. Let's get this place up. Say something, John. Sorry, guys. This is not very professional photography or videography.
I'm up to 84 now.
Yeah, come on, Pete. You got to up your game there, mate.
He's behind the curve.
There's the guys were just saying to tell you that there's 10 Teslas here tonight.
Wow.
Pretty good turnout.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And there's a there was a P100D here as well, which is pretty much unbeatable. Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah. All right, guys, I better mute this.
Cool. Fantastic. So Pete's going to do some live crosses as the action unfolds, which would be pretty cool. So has anyone else got any news or anything that's happened in the last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Nigel.
Well, I went down to Busselton, Dunsborough for a few days. I got free supercharging at the moment, so I thought I'd utilise that. Got down to the Eton Supercharger with 8%, charged it up to 90%. It took 35 minutes. Goodness me, that's terrible. But it did peak going down at a 126. And on the way back, I was at 10% when I got there. And when it hit 20, it peaked at 127 kilowatts. I thought that was pretty good for something that's supposed to be limited to 120. And then the Dunsborough Dunsborough RAC charger. I mean, Ken said something about that, but you can't charge a Model 3 there unless you reverse into an angle parking on a one-way street that is highly difficult to reverse into. It's just an impossibility, and it's not working very well. I met a Kona EV there, and he was trying to get the DC CCS2 to work, and he tried it about 10 times while I was standing there, and it would charge for about 5 seconds and then cut out.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a problem with that, but Ken would have a better idea.
Yeah, look, the issues with the parking bay they painted out are well known there, and our treasurer, who is routinely down there, Martin Kane, has approached the council on I think 5 occasions now, and got pretty much pushback every time. I think the key problem is the people who run the shops right there kind of don't want it there. They put it in a bit of a central spot. And, you know, they're kind of a bit grumpy about 2 parking bays being taken away for EVs, you know, and there aren't any. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the picture I took. That's a nice car there.
Yeah.
And you can see how narrow it is.
Yeah, well,
as you reverse park.
As you can see from the paint on the ground, they used to both be set up as EV bays, but they decided to paint one out, and they painted the wrong one. So that's kind of annoying. I'm assuming whoever got it painted has a car with a charger on the front, like a Leaf or something. But yeah, it's true for pretty much any Tesla. And in fact, for an e-tron as well, it's on the wrong side. So if that Audi happened to be an e-tron, even though their charger's on the front quarter, the DC charger's on the other side. So they would have to park the wrong way as well. So it's just madness.
Yeah. While I was standing there, a parking warden, inspector, whatever, came up, and I had a chat to her, and she said, "Oh, they blanked out that one because some cars couldn't drive in to that park and then charge, so they left it on that one because more cars want to just drive in and they got the charger at the front." And I go, "There's more bloody Model 3s in WA than there are anything else."
Yeah, that's comprehensively nonsense. And what's more, I know from talking to, Ant, who's got a Leaf, that the other bay works fine. If you've got a Leaf with the charger at the front, the CHAdeMO reaches there. So it's completely bollocks. I don't know why they did it. But yes, the other comment I made on Facebook was, you know, that was one of the ones on our hit list for the rework, but lawyers, and I'll say nothing further about that. But yes, things are in motion as I understand it, Harold.
I actually believe that from the evidence that I can see publicly available on PlugShare, it does look like the fix has been done to all the stations.
Is that right?
I believe so. From what I can see publicly, for instance,
Donnybrook was completely dead.
There's been a BMW i3, which I think is an RAC driven vehicle, and that's been following around all the stations last week, except for that one. Sorry, no, that's not one of the RAC ones. I think even Bridgetown has had the same i3 going around. So I do believe, even though the description still states that it's not compliant with Model 3, in fact, I think we've had Joseph. In fact, look at that. On the 30th of November, Dave Smith in a Model 3 has charged there.
Yeah, but that doesn't say he necessarily charged CCS.
This is true. If we look at Busselton,
Margaret River's completely busted.
Yes.
There you go. That was the RA Volt.
DC is a bit slow. Worked first try. That was on the 27th. That's a Model 3.
Yeah, I followed that guy above in the Hyundai Kona RA Volt. He was the one that was having trouble at Dunsborough, and he went all the way into Busselton and got it working there first time by the look of it.
Yeah, cool. Oh, that's good. That's very good. So I've got reason to believe that that Busselton has been upgraded. Margaret River.
CCS2 is broken at Margaret River. I used the CHAdeMO 3 times there.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's been done yet. as in like since, and I've got reason to believe that perhaps Augusta has been done, but no one else since has checked it. So, and there's nothing else south of that. And I think Harvey has also been retrofitted, and we have Joseph getting 16 kilowatts. He might have been fairly full.
Yeah.
Having done it at Harvey.
Doesn't
good.
say if it's CCS2 or Type 2 though.
It does. No, he wouldn't get 16 from Type 2.
Oh no,
Nigel,
of course, yeah.
because he can only get 11. So that's pegging it at, as DC. And I'm not sure about Mandurah.
Joseph did say Mandurah had been fixed.
Mandurah 66 to 90% in 23 minutes. So he has used, I'm pretty sure he's used Fast DC on that one, CCS on that one.
Yeah, I did message him and he confirmed it's working.
So as we can infer publicly, it does appear that the RAC has implemented TOCWA's fix, which is good. That's the whole reason why we got involved in that whole process. And I've heard from Sercontrol representatives that fix has been tried in Scotland, and it's working there as well. So that's really good, and they're quite happy about it. So
once again, congratulations.
Congratulations to TOCWA. You know, we Australians are famous for punching above their weight, and this little West Australian club has well and truly punched above its weight and done what it should do, which is advocate for all Tesla owners and the wider EV community. So I think the whole club needs to be congratulated for participating in that activity. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so the challenge is for anyone in a Model 3 or any Tesla for that matter with CCS to go and try those stations out and exercise them well. And like I said, also, hopefully with a bit of luck, we'll be able to have the Geraldton shark fin station operational beyond this weekend with a little bit of luck. So that will also open up, you know, Kalbarri and other places, hopefully over the duration of school holidays. So anyone else got any other news or bits and pieces? Oh, Jason is eating
Ice cream.
ice cream. Right.
Jean and I went to the unveiling of the Cogen Up charger last Friday. So
Yes, thanks for mentioning that. Brian, go ahead.
Rob Dean was there. David Smith, who I've got to say looks like Peter's brother. Yeah, dead ringer.
Yeah.
I thought it was him.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to put a picture up of him. No. Yeah, so it was all very, very smooth. Wasn't a huge crowd there, but and it was too busy for us to get a charge off it, so we had to go back to Arthur River and make use of John's charger there, which was good. So that's about all from us.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Thanks, Brian. Now, one thing that was a bit ironic is that charger then, soon after it was opened, ironically started to fail badly. But there is a post by Rob Dean today saying that it is charging correctly at full power. So it's now back up and running. So whatever the glitch was, it's now been resolved. So there goes Albany as a perfectly viable route via Cogen Up, which will be a great relief to many that have had to put up with AC up until fairly recently, or use John's charge pod at Arthur River. Cool. So any other news bits or items or anything come up?
No news, but I think the big gap in that electric highway, from what I can see, is Kalgoorlie or Norseman to the border. That's got to be the main route across Australia. and you can't get there, or you can get there, but not by fast chargers. So it doesn't come into the plan for Western Australia.
Yeah, that's
Quite
right.
significant. We're left high and dry.
Yes. Clearly, well, they're overlooking. I guess the issue there is, we'll put it this way: to get all the way to Kununurra is literally awesome. I guess they've basically said that, you know, to do what is that, about 1,000 kilometres to Eucla. Probably a bit more than that, actually. Oh no, maybe no, roughly about that. Is something they may attack at a later stage. Actually, we've been talking to John Edwards, and he's sort of basically thinking that he might deploy some of his veg pods to some of those roadhouses, because if the state government does do what it's supposed to do, or has stated it will do, and put fast DC charging everywhere, then a few of his current chargers will become redundant in those locations, and then it's obviously completely appropriate and a real achievement to actually put them in the roadhouses.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because obviously the South Australian government have, although they haven't announced locations, they've suggested they're going to put chargers pretty close to their side of the border. So we're not going to need to fill the entire Nullarbor. It's only just the West Australian part. Once you get across,
the important one.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, the neat thing is South Australia have decided to put at least one charger quite close to the WA border. I thought that might spur WA on to joining the dots, but clearly it hasn't.
Well, I guess you could say that perhaps that's what we need to agitate for once we get the current system, or the planned system in, is to say, look, let's just go and join the extra few dots and cross this continent once and for all. And then, of course, you know, it's not that far from Kununurra to Darwin, really. So, you know, but I mean, obviously that's the NT government's got to look at that. But, you know, that could be a bit of a national push as well, because it would be awesome if we could literally circumnavigate this continent with fast DC chargers, you know.
Make a tremendous difference, I think, and they're trying to push this tourism bit. So that would surely justify those links that you're talking about. Northern Territory, well, you know more about that than me, but certainly it's a long hike between towns there at times.
Yes, yeah, well, indeed. Tennant Creek to Camberwell is 471 kilometres.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in between except for Barclay Homestead. So yeah, that would be a tremendous achievement to circumnavigate Australia. But I've got to say, to go all the way, you know, the great thing about the announcement is that they are committed to go to Kununurra.
Which is major, yes.
And that is just fantastic. I mean, that really shows the commitment to go all the way to Kununurra.
Yeah, I was just re-looking at the South Australian thing. These ones are stage 2, so no date set. But Sejuna's definitely concrete. Yeah.
Yep, and that's a great achievement. Because I think the other two would be probably Nullarbor Roadhouse and Mundrabilla. Possibly Nullarbor, where your cursor is there, Ken, and the middle one is probably Mundrabilla.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts.
Yeah, and they're saying multiple charges on the site, which is also nice. So there's 53 charges spread across those sites.
Yep. Well, and look at the fact that they're also looking at pressing north towards the Territory.
Yep.
So Coober Pedy and whatever's between it and Port Augusta.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, for us, there's obviously superchargers in some of that space as well. But yeah, this is really welcome. And I thought it might go the WA government into kind of joining the dots on the other side, but you know.
However, stage 2 you can see says planning and design. So
yeah, that'll be a while away.
That'll be a while away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the next mountain we got to climb. Is like you suggest, Peter, is to go between Norseman and Eucla, basically. But I think Johnny Edwards, is absolutely intent on getting his charge pods out there, and you know, or veg pods, sorry. Basically cooking oil fired generators.
Excuse me, Harold. Evening all. How you going?
Go, Jason.
I'm suspecting that by the time the state government works out how to infill between Geraldton, Carnarvon and Karratha, those big legs, then they'll probably trial some of those Horizon 20-foot packages and then deploy them into those gaps, you know, and John's generator charges may be an interim measure, but clearly they've got to solve those same solutions within our state on the legs that they're proposing already. So
that's right, because you've got the roadhouses in the Kimberley, well, even Billabong. Oh, you've got
Nanyatara, Sandfire, Wim Creek, all of those.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Wim Creek would be a difficult one because that's already shut, I think, hasn't it? Anyway, so
yes, Wim Creek sadly has shut. Yes.
Yes, but you don't need. It's just like those diesel self-service tankers they put in. You just need a box on the side of the road with a swipe card and some internet access. You don't need a business and an establishment. If it's quality charging, you're just stopping for 15 or 20 minutes to get enough to get to Headland.
That's right. So, you know, you've got Nanyatara, you've got Billabong Homestead. Yes, Wim Creek is basically shut. You got Pardue, Sandfire. After that, Horizon, it's pretty easy at Fitzroy Crossing because Horizon Power's got proper generators there, but they might need to augment it a bit. Halls Creek's the same, that's quite easy. Warman, I think there's Horizon Power there. What's the name? Kununurra is got plenty of power. They've got the hydropower there, in fact. And presumably, perhaps you might even get something at Wyndham, although really it's pretty close to Kununurra, so they might not need to. But yeah, as Jason says, obviously Horizon Power will have already had solutions available. So really getting across to what effectively would probably be, you know, Balladonia, Cocklebiddy, Mundrabilla, well, border, you know, Eucla. There's not that many to do to get to our part of the Nullarbor.
Well, Sejuna's got town power. Penong's got town power.
Sejuna's, yeah, as Ken pointed out, Sejuna's already in the plan to actually have a fast DC charger under the South Australians' current plan. Was that 2022, Ken? You there, Ken?
No, he's gone mute.
Yeah, he might come back later. I think I recall seeing on that diagram, I think it said 2022.
As we've discussed before, when you've got your Cybertruck, you'll be able to skip a few charging stations anyway.
Yes, and it's funny because I was talking to Pete Petrosky because he's at the Kwinana Motorplex, and I was saying that, you know, imagine, I just can't wait to see a tri-motor Cybertruck burning down the raceway, you know, doing 0 to 102.9 seconds, you know, something that can tow 6 tons.
Spreading 35-inch tyres.
Well, we're even joking that perhaps, you know, there'd be some ice cars that the Cybertruck could tow on a trailer. And the only way that ice car could beat something like a Performance Model 3 is if it was being towed by a Cybertruck. And I think that would just be hilarious.
Mm.
But yeah, there you go. So really, I think in maybe the next year or so, we are going to be in fast DC charger heaven, wondering what all the fuss was about.
In the fullness of time, it's a fait accompli. It's just we're very impatient.
Yes, because we've been waiting 4 years.
Yeah, getting older nonetheless.
But I guess good things come to people that wait, and perhaps even people that don't wait, but just, you know, keep breathing and waiting for what's going to come next. So yeah, it's all pretty good.
That's the detail we're waiting for, isn't it? Obviously, we need to find out what's proposed, and we hope it matches up at least in full, well, in part, 80-90% in part with what Professor Brunel's reports say. We need 150. So
yeah, really, they do have to pick the 150 as the minimum, really, for
and
the vast
start date.
Sorry.
And the start date, because I don't want to be on the never.
Well, one positive thing is this is not an election commitment. There's nothing that's in that document that says this is an election promise or they will do this if re-elected. So there really is no reason why planning shouldn't commence already. So that's the thing that we need to hold them to account and say, hey, it's awesome that you've announced it, but let's start getting some charges in some of the, at least the lowest hanging fruit locations. And really they are all the grid connected synergy sites where there is no reason to not do this now.
Should we be, I guess, going to particular issues to push, or maybe not even to push, but to just keep with them? Are there people, names we should be writing to or emailing to or something like that?
Yes, well, Dave Kelly, he's one of the ministers that's co-signed that that document.
Just maybe we can do that. Maybe I should write that down.
Well, first of all, find out who your local member is, and then hassle them, particularly if they're Labor. Tell them you want to buy an electric car, because people still underestimate the power of one.
That's for sure.
For every one person that contacts the minister's office, there's probably 5 or 10,000 people think the same, and they know that. And particularly, the demographic for this is 8 to 80. It's amazing. Just ring them up and use your local member. And if you're not getting any joy there, your federal member. It's just a phone call.
Yeah.
Well, I think phone calls, they don't necessarily take any notes. If it's email or even traditional letter, I think it holds weight.
Yep.
Well, if you request to have a meeting, because then you're, as a constituent of their electorate, you're entitled to have a meeting with them, as I've done with Ben Wyatt and Bill Johnston. So to get a meeting with them as a minister is infinitely harder. But if they're your local member, then they're obliged to meet with you. And
I think also if you do meet, yes, I think it's a great idea.
And if you got half an hour to burn and you want to have a coffee and give a Polly a hard time, it's a bit of fun as well.
Yes.
Yes, so Dave Kelly's there, Pete, and also Stephen Dawson. So they're both co-signatories of this plan.
Okay. I've written things before. I'd never get anywhere, but at least I make the noise.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't go unnoticed. So
I was pushing the tax components, but I didn't get anywhere there. But still worth a try.
Oh, that's something else. That's a little bit of good news, because I quite wryly sent a few texts out saying Dave Kelly MLA. Hang on a sec. Can you say something, Ken? And then we'll highlight you talking. There we go.
How about that? So the Science Minister was at EV Day, so I grabbed his card, and I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Am I covering up his number? Hang on. There you go. Everyone say hello. Yeah, you've got one too. There you go.
Oh, no, actually it's his policy advisor lady, Tegan.
Excellent.
And she's amiable, even to me. and she's in his ear, so
yeah. Well,
Tegan. So
there you go. So we just had a card off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who wins. I think Ken still wins, Jason, because he's got the minister's card, and you've just got the assistant.
Well, for those that don't know, my good wife's an executive director in state government, and she has a weekly meeting with Mr. Dawson as her minister, but she can't push her selfish agenda, so she's out of the picture. But
not without one of those big asterisk thought bubble things off the side of her head.
I like my job. I'm sorry I lost it.
I'm self-interested. Yes, I'm conflicted.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to save the environment by having more EVs there.
Yes.
And just because I have one doesn't mean I'm just biased.
But no, look, I think all jokes aside, Dave was the minister was was very supportive. He drives a Ioniq, annoyingly a hybrid as his daily driver. He told me he regretted getting the hybrid because now he desperately tries to never use the power, never use the ICE unit. And so I go, well, why didn't you just get the EV version? He went, well, you didn't know. So, you know, we got to get him smarter, but no, it's great. It's great.
The greatest thing that came out of the other day was that strategy, and because it's multi-portfolio, none of these ministers, although each one of them independently was probably on board with us, they couldn't stand on their own and say, this is my department, my responsibility. So what this strategy has done has brought that all together. Now they're all singing off the same sheet and they've got the backing. So it's a real sea change and a line in the sand that says the state government acknowledges all the benefits of EVs, and their opening statement on this document pretty much sums it up, the first paragraph or two, and I will hold them to account on that forever and a day. So yeah, just that first paragraph pretty much. And if you tie that up with the NETA organisation in the States that was just launched a couple of weeks ago, the Zero Emission Transportation Association, of which Tesla's a member, you know, they say every electric vehicle has the equivalent of $8,600 per annum societal benefit, not just the cost saving to the owner of $1,100 US. So, you know, it's just awesome. And this is the best bit.
Well, in Tesla related good news, they've got the commitment to have a minimum of 25% electric vehicle target for all new light and small passenger and small medium SUV government fleet vehicles by 2025, 26. I mean,
and they were very careful to leave a lot of Tesla out of this. There's one or two file pictures, and most of them are from Europe, and then they blank out the brands, of course. But you know, we all know where the smart money should go. That smart money's our money.
Well, which minister or politician would not want their car to be a Model 3 at the least, or a Model S, or an X? Or which executive who may have a right to a government car wouldn't want a Tesla, even a Model 3, whose total cost of ownership is probably vastly less than many of the cars they're entitled to have in their position.
And has now become more attractive given Tesla's got a service centre and a store opening up. And that was one of the impediments to a number of people that Harold and I have spoken to. They want that backing.
Funny enough, you should say that actually, because I spoke to Adam at Tesla today and said, "Oh, just cheekily, when do you think you'll be in to Osborne Park?" And he said, "Oh, they're saying like before Christmas," and I was like, "Really?" I was like, "It's got to be January, February," but yeah, he said it may well slip, but yeah, looking to get in there before Christmas. So.
Oh, Richard, just a slap of paint, a couple of wall charges. Let's hurry up.
Yeah.
Before Christmas. And in fact, they already have done that. They have slapped all the paint on, and they have put the wall charges up. And every day that I've gone past there have been work vehicles there at attendance.
Yeah, right.
So there is a lot of work going on. So perhaps, you know, later this month is not unrealistic.
Are they going to put a supercharger in there?
No, definitely not. Not one that's publicly facing.
Yeah, there may be one, but it'll be for service use only.
Yeah,
and Nigel, I like the whiskey and ice in the coffee mug too. Good work.
Yes.
But yes, there's definitely no supercharger proper site, because as Tesla are all too acutely aware, what they don't want is for people to go and supercharge and then do a walk up and say, "Oh, well, while I'm here, I've got this problem with my car," or can you fit me in to do this or that, or ask a question or something. They just don't want to that constant hassling out.
So you book it in for a service and then get it supercharged while it's happening.
That's right. I got a service appointment for next Friday, so I wonder where it'll be.
Oh, yes. So Ken, please explain.
Yeah, they generally come here for me. So tomorrow morning, I'm on the list as well, and they come to me.
Well, I specifically booked mine into the service centre because I'm quietly hoping that I might get on the list for Hardware 3, but I'm not holding out too much hope at this point.
And MCU too, Ken?
If I can get it, yep, absolutely. The implication is they're doing them first. If you're happy to pony up the $4,000 or for 7 if you want the radio to still work.
Sorry, the radio's not, as in...
So the radio on MCU2 is a separate module.
Yeah.
So they will do the MCU upgrade. My understanding is around about $4,000. And if you want them to do the radio, they charge you an extra 700.
Okay, but yeah, that wasn't an option that I'd heard of. So they're prepared to do that.
They are, yeah. It got added in about 2 months ago into the work roster. They prototyped it in the States and now they've rolled it out everywhere. So
you're going to stump up for colour repeater cameras?
I don't know. Well, is that's not an option they will do, is it? Or is that
I think eventually, I think you can just pay for the part and they'll just plug it in. So it's them to pop it. But yeah, I think they're a couple $100 each.
The quote we've got here published is 4,750.
Yep.
Including the radio.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems 4,000 flat.
Yep.
Without the radio.
So it's a $750 FM radio that I'll almost certainly never listen to.
Never use, of course. Yeah,
that's right. But, you know, I like giving money to Tesla, so...
Of course, because it's in our interest.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, though, something dear to a few of us older Model S hearts. So I've been having a lot of the graphical corruption, which is blatantly the memory card issue. And, they're still saying it's not, and they reckon there's a firmware upgrade coming out this week that is going to fix it magically. I did a factory reset.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. The funny thing is, though, when I did speak to Adam, I said, look, I know that you guys are having to play this game, and you know you're having to go through the motions and say that it's that, and he kind of acknowledged that they're just being told, no, you have to tell people it's a firmware issue, and it will be sorted in a software update, and it's nothing to do with the memory card.
No, it'll be sorted when you stump up your $4,000 and you pay to fix up their problem.
Yeah, which I ain't going to do.
No.
And something we also heard is that there's at least one AP1 owner that's booked in for a replacement MCU, which is good. That's a positive thing. So it hopefully seems there's green shoots out as far as MCU 1 to 2 conversions.
Although he did say that they didn't have any stock of the 64 gig eMMCs. They've got some in Melbourne that are being shipped over, but
yeah, well, like you, Richard, I'm in the situation where I often can't even see my rear view camera because there's just snow or not interference, but glitches. Yeah. And yeah, the current line is that unless the MCU literally drops dead, or if on one of the new software updates where you get a notification on the MCU, it'll actually give you a warning that says this eMMC is dangerously worn out and go and seek service now. They will not replace it. But look, I'm with Ken. I'll put my hand in my wallet and say to Tesla, take my money, and I'll have that MCU too. Thank you very much, and I'll have the hardware 3 computer that I paid for many moons ago.
Yeah, I guess I probably would too if I had an AP2 car, but I don't. So I'm like, do you know what? It's not worth it. So
yes, no, that's dead right. But I got to tell you, when you see hardware 3, the full self-driving, and I'm going to very quickly attempt to find it because it's just spine-tingling how well it drives. It's freaky.
We need to get James on for another chat. We could buy him another coffee, and since he's become a bit of a superstar with videos on the various places.
So Ken, how did you become aware of it, Ken? Did you go through the app and do the hardware thing, and then it was there as an option, was it, or?
There's been some discussion on forums that they're there. It's not actually there as an option or an upgrade. I just put it in as text in the search.
Yeah, we've done that. But I think when it's officially available, then you go through the book appointment, do the hardware thing, and it should be an option.
Yeah, it'll probably show up as an infotainment upgrade, but it's not there yet.
No. So you tried it on and you've had a win. Awesome.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But when you see,
whose video is this?
This is
Is this John Stringer's one?
No, this is, it'll come up in a sec, done by AI Driver. And
See, I thought it said Aid Rivera.
this is coming out of the Fremont factory, apparently.
Oh man, that's a horrible road.
It is, indeed. And it's going to do a right turn here. And it's just, I just never get sick of looking at this stuff. And notice how the visualization, it's using the whole of the binnacle, which is awesome. Because I don't want to see anything else but what the car can see.
Is this an X?
I'm not sure. No, you can see, you can actually see the windscreen wiper, so it must be an S. Just being technical.
Yeah.
It had some weird kind of double stop sign when they came out past the guardhouse and that pedestrian. Then they talk about an unprotected left turn or something. Quite sure what that is. I'm used to the four-way stops, but then the quick double stop sign I didn't quite get the hang of.
He described it as quite an aggressive but appropriate manoeuvre because there was nothing much else it could do. A little bit further down, what it does, I think it goes to the left, but has to do an immediate right. But it gets into the wrong lane inadvertently. It then realizes it, and quite cleverly, this is coming up now. So he actually needs to be in the, sorry, once he goes around this bend, he needed to be in the next lane across to the right. But the car, notice you see the semi-trailer, this truck going across.
It's like Frogger. You got to get across the three lanes of crocodiles and logs.
This is just awesome. Like, watch this, because now the car, soon the car will realise that it needed to be in the right-hand lane to turn right because it's got a left arrow there and needs to go right. So watch what it does next.
Did you see that dash cam where a guy in a Model 3 had the gun pointed at him through the window?
No.
Oh, no way.
And no horns.
I need to take that back. It definitely wasn't the correct lane. This wasn't a legal maneuver. But this is exactly what a human would have done in this situation. I am in disbelief. And again, I know there's going to be comments of people saying autopilot should be a perfect, like 100% legal driver, never do anything like that ever. But the thing is, to drive on the road with human drivers, you have to act a little bit human. And yes, maybe autopilot was a little aggressive in that maneuver, and it should probably have just made the left and then go a different route. But it's displaying some human characteristics right now. And let me tell you, pulling out of this parking lot and seeing that maneuver made me go out and look for more difficult tests. So let's see what we got next.
Right, I hope you guys could hear that commentary, but that's the sort of stuff that warms the cockles of your heart, and you're going, wow, these cars really are going to be awesome. And I'm kind of glad that Tesla did take my money a few years ago, and I just want my box, thanks. I just want it. So go, Ken. I hope you get your your hardware.
And you'd have to be getting a beta, one of the first betas in, wouldn't you? Being a top.
It's not outside the US at the moment. The conversation amongst the leadership group is they might roll out into Canada soon, but nowhere else in the short term. But yes, we'd have to be on the list.
Parked in a parking lot.
Yeah. And look, Elon's watching this YouTube as we speak, albeit in delay. So come on, Elon. As Jason said, you said okay.
Yeah. I suspect he might be a teeny tiny bit busy launching a silo 15 kilometers in the air and having it skydive back. But
it's spectacular.
And isn't the best thing about that? It actually doesn't matter what it does, because whatever it does, it's going to be spectacular.
As long as it doesn't land on the community of Padre Island, it will be fine. You know.
Yeah. A part of everybody does want to see it as pancake.
Isn't that why you watch? Isn't that why you watch race meets and stuff like that? You always want to see the crash.
I did not enjoy Formula One this weekend. That was not good. But let's not talk about that.
No, that was shocking. That was quite shocking. But But yes, so the Starship. Sorry, is it Star? Yeah, it is Starship. That's I think Friday, US time, maybe, or no, I think Friday our time. They'll be doing that attempt. Fingers crossed.
They had a really good, I watched this morning, the Axel Springer Award. If you haven't watched that, for an hour, really good simulation of, it was actually, most of us know all the backstory, but it was nice listening to Elon talk, and he was chuffed with the whole presentation. But it was like a Disney ride. They were in a starship and going to Mars, and he was really impressed with all the changing angle video screens down the side of the venue, and yeah, it was a good hour.
Yeah, and he's done some good commentary about what's coming around the corner with Tesla, and
some of that's affecting the share price right now.
Well, it's funny because I wonder if this will be the third week in a row. 2 weeks ago, the share price was looking a bit lackluster, and within about half an hour of us finishing our Ask Us Anything session, all the traders who were watching us live obviously then got all excited and started buying more Tesla. So the price shot up. And the same thing happened last week. The shares were going down a bit while we were on. And about half an hour to an hour later, they zoomed up again to all-time highs. So what's the pre-market now, Jose?
Down 19.26.
Oh, well, that's all right. They're just warming up because they're watching us intently to see what our opinion is.
The rest of the futures are down in the red as well, but not 3%.
Yeah, it's interesting why they might be doing that. We obviously all heard that the UK has announced that they're getting into the Oxford vaccine as early as next week, I think. So that's pretty exciting, perhaps, for the whole world. Which hopefully will get everyone a bit more positive. Except for those people in this audience who are totally mute.
Even when they're not.
So, Harold, I'm not sure if you wanted to talk too much about Kalbarri tonight, seeing not a lot of people here are going, but anything we can talk about quickly before we head off?
Yeah, absolutely. What we could actually do is maybe do a quick Zoom session tomorrow night.
That would be good.
Unfortunately, I've been flat out the last 48 hours
We know.
in Geraldton. So I will do a roster, or I might delegate out the roster to sort of let you guys sort out amongst yourselves. I mean, you've already seemed to have adopted some time slots, and it's really just a matter of slotting in the rest. The good thing is the charger at Jurien will charge a Model 3 at about 275 k's an hour. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
And the one at Geraldton will do Model 3s at 300 k's an hour. So the amount of charging time you'll need is actually a fair bit less than I even thought, which is great. So it's going to be a pretty pleasant trip going up. But yeah, I'll do my very best to do that roster tomorrow, obviously, because it needs to be done by tomorrow. Or at least just, get you guys to sort of sort out amongst yourselves once we've established. I think the easiest way to probably do it is to work out when you're going to arrive at Jurien, and then we'll time everything after that. So I think, Joe, you were going to leave, was it 7-ish or something? Do you remember what time you were going to get to Jurien, roughly?
Can't remember.
Yes, you're on.
I know. I can't. I need to get my phone.
You're going to be leaving Kwinana at 7.
I gave a little screenshot of my exact timings, but I just need to get onto that WhatsApp conversation.
We might get a Google Sheet or something. Maybe Ken, being the it man, could do like maybe a Google Sheet or something. I think he's just reading through the multitude of WhatsApp messages, mainly of yours truly.
You took over today.
I turned off WhatsApp notifications because of the Kalbarri group. It's just, you guys, shut up. But no, I'm happy to fire up a Google Sheet and we can put some slots in. And I love doing spreadsheets. So
yeah, cool.
For those who don't know, Harold took the tritium up all the way to Geraldton by himself and got it installed and came back today. So 48 hours to Geraldton and back, and half a day waiting around for the thing to be wired up. So
yeah,
well
Ken was asking me at about 6 o'clock last night, am I going to the movies? And I go, yeah, to get there in time, because I was at Geraldton there, or then, I said I'd have to have something that's not slower than a rocket or a jet aeroplane.
Yeah.
But perhaps a Cybertruck could have almost, no, it wouldn't have. But yeah, so the good news is, the road's in good condition. I'm fairly familiar with it now. Although there's a little bit of roadworks. But yeah, if we might get
the way back was a bit of a problem, obviously, wasn't it?
Sorry, say again.
The wind on the way back was obviously a problem for you.
Yes, in fact, I will show you well, you guys have seen it, but for the benefit of Elon and Damon, my car was a bit pessimistic on the way back. It pegged me at being -2%, and I had a bit of fun putting up a couple of photos on the way. And yeah, the guys in the WhatsApp group were going, "Oh no, I wouldn't do that." In the end, I got home with 7 Ks left, so it was totally cool.
Easy.
No problem. 2%, 7 Ks.
Do it.
It's I could have chickened out and gone to Gwelup, but then I had a Ask Us Anything gig to host. So hey, time is of the essence.
On Monday, I actually got my very first notification, slow down if you want to reach the supercharger with some power left. That's the first time I've actually ever got that.
Has anyone ended up with 0? Have you heard of the case and still gone?
Yes, I've done 0 at Nanyatara, arrived at 0. Yep. You can do it.
Is it -0, meaning -1 or 2, or do you reckon you've been sitting on 0 just 0?
No, it was +0 and it was -0. It was 0. But you're right, you can actually, it seems that you can go between 0 and -20 Ks, but the time at which your car drops dead is a random number between 0, actually sometimes between +10 or 20 kilometers down to -20. So you just got to pick your poison, because those cars are heavy to push, and it's kind of embarrassing.
It's like being a uni student all over again. You kind of, how long can I drive my Ford Anglia with it on the empty peg? And
I don't want to brag, but I've got to say that it was the Gull in Balga on Wanneroo Road up a slight hill. I think it might be an Ampol now. That in my petrol car, as I was driving up towards the Bowser, my engine cut out, and I just coasted, and almost like went to 0 just up the hill, just as I got to the Bowser. And I did that in a gas car as well in Morley, and you just don't want to do that. It's just not comfortable.
You need a little extra sub tank like my Volkswagen used to have. Just flick the lever over with your left foot and get another, I don't know, another litre or something to keep you going.
Yeah, well, I guess I've got one of these. That's a proper 18650 battery. Yeah. The connector's a bit small. It's mainly for phones. Oh. Yes, the connector's a bit. It won't exactly fit. It won't exactly fit in the charge port, but I guess it's got 1/7000th the charge of the car, so that'll get you a couple of meters. But anyway,
yeah. Here's an idea. How about a Tesla Torch, which is a torch, but on the other end is actually a connector into your charging socket, so that then you might get like another couple of Ks out of it.
Or a hand crank. You got foot pumps. You could have like a hand cranked. Sit there for 60 hours and you get 10 meters.
Amazing.
Oh dear. Or you can just cut a hole through the floor and just use your legs.
Flintstone style.
Exactly. That's what they do with the petrol cars when petrol's been banned and you can't buy it anymore. but anyway, so yeah, so we'll sort out Carberry a bit tomorrow. I'm not sure if we've got any more takers. At the moment, I think we've got 9 people, or 8 or 9 cars. Oh yes, yeah, not people. Sorry. So obviously we've got Seb's 24-hour postponed birthday party on Friday night. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we've got, well, Saturday and Sunday is a swim through. So again, I might leave it to you guys to sort of work out amongst yourselves where we should go on those nights and what we should do. Yeah, because obviously we're all open to suggestions.
Yeah, I have a thermal question. I happened to look on my app today, and the climate temperature in the car was 47 degrees. And I had the function there to keep the cabin under 40 on. And I came out and sat in the car, and it didn't really appear to be 47 degrees. And I'm just a bit curious as to why that might be. Anybody got any thoughts?
What was your state of charge?
About 75%.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because cabin overheat protection kicks out at 20. But if it was on, that would be surprising. I've never seen mine get that hot with cabin overheat turned on.
What was your setting, Pete? Is it full aircon or is it fan only? Like, 'cause I think in the Model 3s.
No, I had it on, which I presume it's either off or no aircon or on, and I had it on.
Yeah, right. Maybe it's a false reading.
But it's got off, fan only, and aircon.
Yeah.
So you could have it on fan only or on aircon.
Let's have okay. The cabin overheat protection has got off, no AC or on.
Yeah, no AC is fan only.
Yeah, but it's on.
But you said that when you hopped in the car, it didn't appear blisteringly hot.
No.
So
when
maybe
I got in the car, the aircon came on actually.
Yes. Yeah, which it does automatically. That's right. So perhaps it was so that was through your app. Your app said 47.
Yeah, but the car itself said 29, but that was the ambient outside temperature.
Yeah.
I think.
Perhaps it was. Yeah, perhaps that was incorrect.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it, and I think I've seen a few 40 somethings in the car as well. I can't remember if it was in the car or of the app, but I think I've gone, oh, it's quite warm in the car. And I've got that on as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. In the Model S's and X's, I don't know if there's anyone else in the room that's got a modern S or X. The older ones certainly only have on or off, and the on involves the aircon as well. I'm not sure if that's a two-stage thing, whether it might use a bit of fresh air first and then the aircon automatically. But in either case, we don't have that fan-only setting. But Pete, if you've had aircon and it didn't feel that hot, then perhaps it was just a false reading, or.
Yeah. Does anyone know where the actual sensor is in the cabin in the 3? No.
I presume it would be part of the AC return air system or something like that, unless they have something on the roof, but that would be misleading too, I guess.
Well, yeah, it gets hot in the top. The hotter it rises up for sure. Maybe it is up there.
It might, especially for all that glass, it gets hellishly hot. I presume what it must do to measure the temperature is actually actively circulate the air every now and then. A bit like, some of those split aircons do. They'll sort of come on even though it's not hot or cold, just so they can circulate the air a bit to make sure they can measure it accurately. But maybe it was a data error or something on the app, perhaps.
Maybe. I've no idea. No idea. Anyway, I shall ask the servicemen when they move to Osborne Park on the way to work one day. I'll pop in and say, excuse me,
Well, yeah, let's hope that they have an open door policy and not an appointment only. But I dare say perhaps with a proper service centre, they will be basically open, you know, with a counter that you can just walk up and ask them questions.
See.
Hopefully.
So I've got a question if I can.
Yes.
On the way down to Bustleton, I stopped at the supercharger and I added 82%. And on the way back, it was 80%. And on my free supercharging, it only took off 157 kilometers and going down and 153 coming back. So 310 have gone off, but that's 162% of the battery. Now I can do 310 very easily on 100%, probably 350. So I was just wondering, is it a random number they pick or is it, how do they work it? Because that is just so good for me. Anybody know?
Maybe they're picking it on the rated kilometers or something. They're obviously so they're being generous, aren't they? They're basically charging you for less than you basically reckon you've used.
Yeah. So on the way down, because it was peeing down with rain and blowing a gale, I used 180 watt hours per kilometer going down. But I mean, putting in 80% is 40 kilowatts. Now I would have thought, 40 kilowatts at 18 kilowatts per 100k is still well over 200, 240 odd. But 157 and coming back, it was the same, 153.
Just a quick note, Elon, if you're listening, just don't listen to what Nigel said. It's okay.
No, it's no. I'm just making these figures up.
Well, that's a refreshing thing that Tesla's given you a good deal.
I'm happy. I've got a second one on order now and a referral. So hopefully he'll get that later next year when my 6 months is running out. Yes, Jun, you were going to say.
I thought we were trying to bring down the share prices, so some of us can afford some.
I'm afraid that ship has already sailed there, Yun. It's well and truly sailed.
I know.
It's all good. I guess you could still buy in and expect to see at least a one bagger, but who cares,
Yeah, I bought some more on Monday when the price was up a bit high.
Well, it's time in the market, not timing the market that counts. So, it's all good.
I'd like the shares to buy me Model Y in a year or two's time.
Well, for those of us who've had cars for a few years, if we had simply invested the price of our cars into Tesla shares, we'd have an S, a 3, an X, a Y,
and a house,
a Cybertruck, the ATV, the Roadster, and the Semi.
And you'd still have a few million spare.
And we still have a bit of cash. I don't know
and a ride on a Dragon to the space station.
Yeah.
Yes.
And bitching about shit service and MCU ones.
Yeah. And I'm going to give him another $4,700 so I can listen to the radio.
To make yourself feel better. That's right. It's a good model, isn't it? A business model.
Now, actually, speaking of which, is it a proper tuner? Like, will it properly sync? Like, when everyone went to the movies, would it have actually had lip sync, or would it be like watching one of those old dubbed Hong Kong movies or whatever, karate movies?
I don't know. Ask one of the guys who had a Model 3 at the movies. Was it out of sync? I'm assuming it'll be close enough that it won't even notice. But
did anyone here go to the movies?
Yeah, me.
Oh, cool.
And the Model 3. Oh, sorry, I'm next to a thing that's making a noise. I'll move.
I can't hear. That's cool. It's all good.
Well, it's the first time we've ever done a drive-in movie, so not sure what to compare it to. But the voices were the same time as the lips moving. So yeah.
Awesome.
We just had to ask someone else how to use the radio because we never use a radio.
So definitely worth $750.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Look, just take our money, Tesla. Just
Harold, sorry to cut in. Have you do you have that link for the EV charger, the strategy report? I don't seem to be able to find it. It's not on the media statement.
yes, I'll put it up on the chat.
Be awesome.
In a moment. So just talk amongst yourselves while I look that up.
While talking about
la, la,
movie,
la, la, la.
As I discovered, the government's not very good at reading their own reports. So there was a reference in their strategy that made reference to the working group that's
Ken, I've got that one. But what I don't have is what Harold was.
Oh, the PDF. Hang on, I'll find the PDF. It's,
I couldn't seem to find a link on that media statement.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere. I'll find it.
And I guess just while Ken's doing that, Harold, when do you think that charger will be at Geraldton until, like date wise?
I'm hoping, Richard, that we'll look. I'm hoping that we might be able to keep it there for the duration of the school holidays.
Sorry, I have no idea when they are.
Oh, well, let's talk like through until the end of January.
Okay.
Actually.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
With a little bit of luck.
You can make it through the night.
Okay, so I've got.
That was money, Rich.
Ah, cool. Yeah, got it. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, that's the one. That's it. No. Oh, there's two links there. Yeah, Jason's done the two links.
That was me.
Ken, sorry.
Yeah, the first link is the media statement. The second one is the strategy PDF.
Right.
Is there a quick way of Googling that for someone on YouTube that can't see that chat?
It's on it's on the environment page. If I copy that, it's buried here under Department of Environment.
I've got the link there. I just put it up on share screen, but I mean that's a little bit long, so it'd be easy.
That's the PDF. So the third link that I just posted is the enclosing page for that. It's on the environment page.
Okay. Actually, what we could possibly do is Google State Electric Vehicle Strategy Western Australia.
It wasn't included on the media statement the other day. We had to go digging, and my good wife found it, Harold found it, and then some of the information inside it, you've got to go digging a bit more for it because the references point to a generic website. So then I sent an email to DEWA and then got a reply back from Lisa Harry asking about the members of the, what do they call it, their working group.
So if you Google State Electric Vehicle Strategy Western Australia, this is very risky, but perhaps actually it's the first result.
Yeah.
So, well, sorry, it's the second result. So you just click on it and it may
that's
or
just
may not.
that's just a JPEG. Scroll down to get to PDF.
Oh, what does that hydrogen strategy talk about? That's interesting.
Sorry, say again?
I was being facetious. Well, the hydrogen strategy, that's interesting.
It's the money, yes.
It's literal hot air.
Very thin hot air.
But it's really fun to set fire to.
Especially when you got stoichiometry. When you got stoichiometry, it goes off like a rocket.
Yeah. Anyway, Harold, I just typed in WA goved EV policy, and that found it.
Awesome, fantastic.
So it's reasonably easy to find.
Yeah. So for those for Elon and Damon, they can just Google it, and it's all there.
I'm not as verby as you. That worked for me, but
awesome.
So yeah, I'm sure it's easy enough to find.
Yep, excellent. Yeah, and I highly recommend everyone reads it just for a little bit of comfort. And it is good. It's not just the charges. It is also a direct intention of increasing EVs in the fleet. And just having that $800,000 spent on internal charging is really good. So it basically means that all of those government departments in various cities and towns will have no excuse.
But not by Ionics.
And if they ever brought in an EV road user tax, it's in direct contradiction to just about everything that's in that report.
Yeah, that question was specifically asked at the press conference, and it was confirmed that there was no plans for an EV tax in Western Australia.
Excellent.
Yes, thanks for that, Ken. I meant to actually bring that up at the start of the session, because that was a very big thing. Because I was quite facetious when saying, you know, I fully expected that at 5:59 p.m. on this coming Friday, they'd bury the road user charge just at the end of the news cycle.
Yeah, a bit like South Australia, you know, do the big announcement, we're doing all this stuff, and then 2 days later, sneak it in. You know.
Yes, indeed.
The other really interesting thing about that document is how much hand waving there is to lithium processing and battery development as well, which is really encouraging for WA.
Yeah, they've just given a 50% reduction on royalties. Yeah.
Talking about lithium, were we organising, or did I miss it, a trip down to the mine and whatever down south at Greensbushes or somewhere?
We were organising one, and Taliesin asked us to wait till later. Their risk assessment team just thought it was all too hard during COVID to do the distancing and meet their requirements. So it will still happen, but it got postponed.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So you didn't miss it, Pete. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm happy little camper.
And I must say that it's an awesome tour. It's well worth going even a second time, because it's got to be one of the few places, mining establishments, where they're concentrating minerals, and it's completely environmentally friendly. The actual solvent they use is effectively olive oil. It's oleic acid, and it's just olive oil. So you can touch every part of their process, and none of it's toxic.
And slide off it.
Yeah.
And you drink red wine and.
Yeah, take some olives and some French bread, and you're just there. You know.
Yeah, nice bit of grappa.
Bit of grappa to make some vinegar.
Yeah.
And you have a few grains. You have a few of the lithium grains, and you'll feel all nice and happy.
That's right. There you go. I'm keen to go for a third time, because every time I've been there, it's been more and more developed. It's going to be an amazing location.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And on that note, gents, I've got a skedaddle for tonight, but good to talk to you all.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming, Ken.
And Joe, obviously. See you on Friday, Brian and Joe, and who else here is going?
You going up, are you?
For sure, yeah. My son and I are coming.
Good.
To the Palms, to the Palm Resort?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, there'll be a whole lineup. We'll have to have a lineup of Teslas. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Take care, Ken.
Catch you later.
Right.
Cool.
See you soon.
Mate. Bye.
See you Friday. Bye.
See ya.
Okay.
Cool. So anything else that sort of popped up? I think we're all kind of EV'd out because of the big announcement, which is exciting.
Yeah. You must be ready for a sleep.
Oh yeah, I'm totally shattered.
Yeah.
Because I was up at 6:30, and then got to site, and basically found out that you can't get the small DIN size, anything beyond 63 amps is a larger circuit breaker. So basically, even to get one of the larger ones, that was going to be a hassle. But they happen to have a spare 150 amp breaker, which we could use. But the issue with that is, to be able to properly use that, you've got to basically have 50 square mil cable coming off it, because it's actually protecting the cable. It's not protecting the actual appliance. So then they didn't have multi-core cable available, so to use individual strands or individual cables. So there were, there was like, I don't know, they bought about 6 meters of cable, and we had to, put in the conduit. And yeah, anyway, 4 hours later, it finally got installed. And ironically, because I charged my car to 90% overnight, I can only drag about 12 kilowatts out of the charger, which was good still. This proved it worked. And then ironically, I got to Jurien Bay and my CCS adapter failed again, which it had failed about a week ago. And I managed to fix it at Jason's place. Because basically what we were going to do was have a look inside to see what was going on. And just the act of unplugging it and plugging it back actually made it work. So it worked all the way up to Geraldton, but then
that was good for me because I was going to donate my module to Harold's car for the trip, and then
Jason,
you want to see him rip his car apart. I went, mate, no deal, we're stopping there.
Well, actually, Jason, you just dobbed yourself in, because I don't know if you noticed there, but I subtly sort of changed what I was going to say and go, I'm not going to say I was going to borrow Jason's, but it's okay, because when Elon's watching this, I promise you, Elon, we did not use Jason's module. So his module is still under warranty. It's okay. Mine is 46 days out of warranty, so I didn't really care so much. But yeah, ironically, just a simple act of unplugging it, plugging it back in made it work. But when I was at Jurien, I just wasn't in that mood to rip the side of my car out and undo the plug. So I just charged on Chatamo and got the job done. And, got here at 6:25 this evening. Just in time to have a shower. And a couple of biscuits and whatever for dinner, and dinner of champions, really. But yeah, it was a long day, but well worth it. And big shout out to Golden West Ice, who are hosting the charger. Top blokes, and if we can have it there for a few more weeks, that'll be great for other users to use it while they're going through Geraldton and beyond. So, but yeah, it's going to be really pleasurable to go there. Unfortunately, it's at the harbour, so there's not a lot around. But I think there's a cafe or something not too far. So you'll probably have about half an hour to charge or so. So
Right. Listen to Spotify.
Well, yeah, or you can watch, or watch Netflix and stuff. Yeah, you could catch up with The Crown or whatever else is on Netflix these days.
Yeah.
So,
so do they sell bagged ice up there, or just all commercial stuff, big blocks?
No, we'll see. Golden West, they are Perth's largest and main ice supplier. So originally, believe it or not, most of Perth's ice was coming from Geraldton. So they had a big plant. They had a big plant in Geraldton, but it caught fire some time ago. I don't know if it was 18 months, a couple of years ago. So then what they did was quickly set up a plant at Malaga. And I forget the numbers, but the tonnage of ice they produce every day is astounding. And one thing I found out from Marcus, one of the directors of Golden West Ice, was that they actually use ice in concrete, in cement trucks. So apparently when they do concrete pours up north, they've got to actually measure the ambient temperature and salt and sun condition and all that sort of stuff. And then they'll actually add the requisite amount of ice as the water in the mix to chill the actual slurry down to the correct temperature, so that once it starts curing, it won't cure too quickly and overheat and then obviously crack. So I just presumed ice was used for human consumption and cooling stuff, but yeah, they actually use it for concrete and stuff like that.
They do.
So they used to basically ship the ice from Geraldton virtually as like a backload to Perth as they're shipping, freezer material, frozen goods and whatever the other way. But now it's mostly out of Malaga. And I think Geraldton's mostly used as cold storage for ice going further north. So they basically reversed the flow. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said, they're top blokes, and it's awesome that they're hosting the Charger, you know, for as long as it's there. That's a great
How
thing.
did you hook onto them?
Oh, that was actually many thanks to Kim Kramer, who is an old Geraldton local until fairly recently. So I basically asked him if he had any contacts in Geraldton, and he just gave me a whole long list. And so that was really, yeah, so many thanks to Kim Kramer for doing that as a fellow Tesla owner and member. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And it just literally proves the adage that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And Kim is very well
The old
connected.
boy network.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and you know, speaking of which, I mean, you know, a few weeks ago we've had, you know, new members that have basically bought cars and driven them to Port Hedland, and one's going to Broome, or is in, well, it will be going to Broome.
Yeah.
So our network is expanding. So that's, yeah, pretty cool.
Well, I reckon you should have an early night and go and sleep.
Oh, that's all right.
You got to
know
drive all the way back up there again on Friday.
I know, just for fun. And I go, oh yeah, that's that little patch of roadworks that they finally put the top bit of tarmac on. And actually, speaking of which, there's like about a 200-meter stretch of just gravel in one section. But perhaps by Friday they may have topped it, although maybe not. So, but it's okay. It's well compacted, so it's not dusty. So it's totally good. So it'll be a good ride regardless.
It will.
Cool.
Well,
all right. Well, maybe we might do a little early night tonight, because it's been a big day and a big week actually. A lot to process with the fast DC charges, which is awesome. But and you know, a lot of it, and we're all excited about the Kalbarri trip. So obviously, Elon, you're invited. Damon, you too. And anyone else watching, there's still slots available. So just suss out the email that you've all got and join us. And obviously, I'll get some information out as far as the charger being there a bit longer if possible, so we can all use it for longer trips. And yeah, on that note, I hope you all take care of yourselves. Look forward to seeing you again soon. For those on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
And go to Patreon and send Harold money.
Yeah, we'll organise some buckets of Coronas for him.
Yeah, so that'll be lovely. I'll consume them responsibly, as one should, and consecutively. But on that note, I hope everyone takes care, and look forward to seeing everyone next week and the next couple of days.
Yep. Well, I won't be there for Kalbarri because I've just been on a road trip. But
no.
See you next week, and
there
have
will
a
be
good
other
time.
times. Excellent. All righty.
Thanks, Daryl.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
Good night, all. See ya.
Yeah. See ya.